Labor Day 2025 was supposed to be quiet. Wall Street was closed, traders were grilling in backyards, and the hum of markets took a rare pause. But in crypto, there is no pause, no holiday, no moment when opportunity sleeps. While traditional markets rested, a new token stepped into the light, carrying with it not just the thrill of speculation but the weight of politics. WLFI, the governance token tied to World Liberty Financial and endorsed by Donald Trump and his family, debuted on major exchanges like Binance, OKX, and Kraken. Its launch set off a frenzy, with prices leaping from an opening around 28 cents to a peak of 33 cents, a 17% jump in a matter of hours. For many, it felt like just another pump in a world accustomed to volatility, but WLFI's arrival represented something larger. It was not just a token, but a cultural moment where politics, celebrity, and financial speculation collided. Traders weren't just buying a coin, they were buying a piece of a story, a piece of Trump, a piece of what they hoped might be the next great wave of crypto history. Donald Trump has always been a market mover. His name alone has swayed stocks, stirred currencies, and commanded headlines for decades. With WLFI, that same gravitational pull entered the crypto arena. Trump's endorsement electrified supporters, creating the sense that buying the token was not only a financial play but also a political statement. The Trump effect transformed a governance token into something bigger, something visceral, something tribal. Traders were not merely investing, they were joining a movement fusing ideology with speculation. Yet the danger was equally clear. A token tied so closely to one man's fortune and reputation could swing wildly at the whims of politics. One speech, one rally, one scandal could double its value or cut it in half overnight. WLFI's early surge was not just about numbers, it was about belief, the kind of belief that can fuel rockets but also magnify crashes. World Liberty Financial branded itself as a project rooted in freedom and governance, promising holders a voice in shaping its protocol. On paper, WLFI was meant to embody liberty itself, a decentralized experiment in collective decision-making. But the truth was more complicated. While governance rights were baked into its design, the overwhelming majority of traders had no interest in proposals or votes. They came for the price action, not the paperwork. WLFI was born with a dual identity, one part governance experiment, one part speculative asset. That duality is what made it fascinating because it wasn't clear whether this was the future of decentralized governance or simply another hype vehicle riding on the coattails of political fame. In the chaos of its launch, the vision of liberty was drowned out by the roar of speculation, and the very question of what World Liberty Financial stood for was left hanging in the air. Governance tokens often promise power, but history has shown that most holders never exercise it. Decisions are dominated by whales and insiders, while retail investors sit on the sidelines hoping the price goes up. WLFI faced this same tension from day one. Was it truly about empowering the community to guide a financial future, or was governance little more than a marketing buzzword designed to cloak speculation in the language of democracy? Traders pouring into WLFI weren't discussing proposals or protocol changes. They were posting memes, speculating about pumps, and debating whether Trump's name alone was enough to sustain a rally. That gap between promise and practice defined WLFI's earliest hours, and it set the stage for the deeper question that lingered in every trader's mind. Was this really liberty, or just another gimmick dressed in patriotic clothing? The decision to launch WLFI on Labor Day was no coincidence. Timing is everything in markets, and dropping a politically tied token on a United States holiday when traditional finance was silent ensured maximum attention. There were no stock tickers, no earnings calls, no market distractions, only WLFI dominating the conversation. Traders across the globe tuned in, with American headlines amplifying the token's arrival, while international markets kept liquidity flowing. The holiday launch created an echo chamber where WLFI's name reverberated louder than it might have on a crowded weekday. It was strategic brilliance because the absence of competition made WLFI the story of the day. Yet the timing also underscored the theatrical nature of the project. This wasn't just a token, it was an event, a carefully staged spectacle designed to merge politics with markets in a way that demanded the world's attention. From the moment trading began, WLFI was on fire. The jump from 28 to 33 cents may sound modest to outsiders, but to crypto traders it was fuel, a 17% surge in a matter of hours. Screens lit up green, trading groups exploded with chatter, and social media was just flooded with memes of rockets, flags, and Trump's face plastered on golden coins. For early buyers, it was validation. They had gotten in before the rush. For latecomers, it was panic. Every second felt like a missed opportunity, every uptick proof they were too slow. The first pump of WLFI was not just about price, it was about emotion. It was about fear of missing out, about the adrenaline that grips markets in their opening hours, and about the intoxicating belief that maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something monumental. WLFI didn't launch in obscurity. From day one, it was listed on Binance, OKX, and Kraken, three of the biggest names in global crypto trading. That gave it legitimacy, credibility, and most importantly, access to millions of eager traders worldwide. But with that legitimacy came volatility. A token on major exchanges is not sheltered from scrutiny. It is exposed to the full force of global speculation, with liquidity that can amplify every pump and accelerate every dump. The exchange listings were a double-edged sword. They allowed WLFI to explode onto the stage with unmatched visibility, but they also guaranteed that its fate would be decided in the most competitive, brutal marketplace crypto has to offer. Traders knew that the presence of such big exchanges meant opportunity, but they also knew it meant danger, because once the sharks smell blood, no token is safe. It didn't take long before WLFI became something more than a coin. It became a meme. Online communities branded it the Trump coin, plastering images of the former president on rockets, flags, and cartoon dollars. Memes have power in crypto. They create cultural momentum that no amount of marketing dollars can buy. They turn tokens into movements, jokes into fortunes, and speculation into virality. But memes are fleeting. They rise quickly, burn bright, and vanish just as fast. WLFI's identity as a meme coin was cemented in its first hours, and that gave it energy but also fragility. For every trader laughing at the absurdity, there was another wondering when the joke would end and the dump would begin. Political coins, they're not really a new phenomenon. History is actually filled with celebrity tokens and politician-themed projects that, they rose quickly before just collapsing into obscurity. WLFI carried that same risk, and it was magnified by its tie to Trump's polarizing figure. For every supporter buying the token as a badge of loyalty, there were critics just waiting for it to fail, shorting it, mocking it, or dismissing it as just another passing fad. Political tokens are built on shifting sand because, let's face it, politics itself is pretty volatile. Elections, scandals, speeches, any one event can rewrite the narrative in an instant. WLFI's greatest strength was its connection to Trump, and that was also its greatest vulnerability. Traders understood this even if they didn't want to admit it. They were not just betting on a token, they were betting on a man, and that is always a dangerous gamble. While headlines were all obsessed over the 17% surge, many traders, they just ignored the deeper questions. Who controlled the supply of WLFI? How was governance structured? What plans existed beyond the initial hype? These details were right there in plain sight, yet, few cared to look. In the frenzy of launch day, fundamentals became invisible, drowned out by memes and adrenaline. But those fundamentals would matter far more in the days and weeks to come. The truth is that behind every flashy pump lies a structure of tokenomics, insider allocations, and hidden risks. Those who look beyond the pump might have seen warning signs, but most were just too busy chasing green candles to notice. WLFI's 17% jump was exhilarating, but it also revealed the volatility virus that infects every new token. Volatility is a double-edged sword. It creates fortunes for day traders and heartbreak for those who hold too long. The WLFI chart became a battlefield of spikes and plunges, a visual representation of greed and fear colliding in real time. Volatility is intoxicating, but it is also destructive. For those riding the wave, the rush felt unstoppable. For those on the wrong side, it was ruinous. The volatility virus is not unique to WLFI, but the token's launch made it impossible to ignore. It showed once again that in crypto, volatility is not a bug, it is the feature. No other token in history carried such an explicit tie to a political figure. WLFI's fate was directly linked to Donald Trump's reputation, speeches, and fortunes. A rally in his favor could send the token soaring. A controversy could send it spiraling. This made WLFI uniquely unpredictable because its value was not just tied to market forces, but also to the chaos of politics. The political wildcard ensured that WLFI was more than just a speculative play, it was, honestly, a gamble on the future of Trump himself. For traders, that was both thrilling and, yeah, a little terrifying because it meant the coin lived in a world where financial charts and political headlines became, well, pretty much indistinguishable. Although WLFI carried Trump's name, it was definitely not confined to America. By launching on international exchanges, it instantly became a global phenomenon. Traders in Asia and Europe piled in, turning WLFI into a 24-hour spectacle. To some, it was a chance to profit off Trump's fame, and to others, it was a way to bet against American politics. The global market ensured that WLFI would never move on U.S. news alone. It would be shaped by international sentiment, liquidity, and speculation. Its global nature really amplified its volatility, because at any given moment, traders across continents were pushing its price in opposite directions. WLFI was not just a token. It was a mirror reflecting the world's fascination and division over Trump's legacy. WLFI marketed itself as a token of liberty, promising governance and freedom for its holders. But as the first hours showed, what people really wanted was leverage on Trump's brand. The lofty ideals of governance faded quickly in the heat of speculation, leaving behind the raw truth. For most traders, liberty was just another slogan. What mattered was price. The gap between WLFI's stated purpose and its actual use grew wider with every trade, and that gap threatened to define its future. A token built on slogans must eventually prove whether it is substance or spectacle. WLFI stood at that crossroads from the very beginning. WLFI's launch was more than a story, it was honestly a case study. It revealed how, narratives drive markets, how timing just amplifies the hype, and how volatility feeds both profit and panic. It showed the power of memes, the fragility of political ties, and the importance of fundamentals buried beneath all those headlines. For traders, the lesson was pretty clear. In high-risk tokens like WLFI, survival really depends on discipline. Those who thrived weren't the ones screaming to the moon online. They were the people who, planned their entry, set their exit, and just refused to let hype control their decisions. The playbook for political tokens is, honestly, simple to describe, but hard to follow. Treat them as speculation, not investment. Trade the story, but don't marry it. WLFI's debut was more than just a token launch. It was a spectacle that fused politics and crypto into one combustible mix. It lit up Labor Day like fireworks, proving that, narratives can move markets as powerfully as numbers, yet it also exposed the peril of tying wealth to a single figure, a single movement, or a single meme. The Trump token was both pump and peril, both opportunity and danger. Its story is a reminder that in the world of crypto, belief can be bought and sold, but only strategy actually ensures survival. WLFI may endure or it may fade, but its lesson is timeless. Ride the wave if you must, but never mistake the storm for the